just got back from an appointment at Mind, which has thrown off my whole day for what was essentially a 20-minute interview there. I'd already had an assessment, then my doctors basically added reference information, and what Mind is a mental health support charity. So because I'm a fucking mentalist, I have to try and get some kind of extra help. And I've been through all the hoops that there are. I mean, this has been years now. It started when I was still on LiveJournal, for God's sake, so it's got to be getting on for 4 or 5 years. I've been struggling with really severe depression. And I went to the local community mental health and got what help they could offer, which wasn't that much. And then I had the private therapy, and then that stopped helping to the point where it wasn't worth the money anymore, good as it had been. And I've basically exhausted the things that I can change and do about my own life and the help that's available to me. I've gone through it all, so this is all that's really left. But all I really want from them is some help on the financial side to see if there are any benefits or anything I can apply for, which I probably should have done years ago. But there's this whole pride thing going on. There's still a lot of shame around mental health itself, which I try to tackle by talking about it like I am now. But there's also a lot of shame in asking for help and being mentally disabled, I guess, unwell, crippled, however you want to put it. There's still a lot of stigma around that, but there's still a lot of stigma around asking for help, getting help. I was unemployed for a long time back in the beginning of the 2000s, and the stigma around that got very wearing and depressing. So getting assistance because you're ill is just... If it was anyone else, I would be saying, get whatever you can, because that's what it's there for. That's the whole point of it, is to help and support people like you. So apply for everything. I would be saying that to anyone else. When it comes to me, I have a double standard, I guess. I have a really acute sense of embarrassment. So I see someone else do something stupid and get embarrassed, I feel it as though it were me. And it's that much worse if it is me. So going begging for money is tough, very, very tough. But I don't see what else I can do, because I work as hard as I can, but I've been basically really sick for about 6 weeks now, and barely able to do what even I normally do. And freelancing and working in a niche hobby like I do, or trying to write stories and sell those, it's unreliable, it's difficult, and the rewards aren't that great even when you're working at full power. And I'm not working at full power. As long as I've been ill, I've only really been able to work maximum sort of 75% of what I used to. Most of the time only about half, and over this last month maybe a quarter as much as I normally do. And a freelance income's insecure at the best of times. So this isn't... Well, what else can I do? I've been applying for the odd job here and there. I don't know if the anxiety that accompanies the depression would allow me to work, though. I can work on my own terms at my own pace without really having to answer to anyone else, and that works fine. But having to work for someone else in an environment with strange people and so on, I don't think I could do that in the state that I'm in. I don't really have a lot of options here, and yet I want to pull my weight, and if that means getting the help that I'm owed due to the fact that I am sick, then fair enough. But there's this... I'm not a very conventionally masculine guy, intellectual pursuits, arts and arts and writing and so on. There's nothing macho about me. My role models growing up weren't particularly macho or anything, but there's still this drive in me to provide, and with my partner being the highest earner, it doesn't really bother me, but I want to pull my weight, and it's very emasculating not to be able to. Yeah, and a lot of the criticism and abuse that has been levelled at me by trolls and others is this idea that I somehow fake the depression, and that's been part of what has held me off looking for help like this before now, because I didn't want to be seen as a scrounger or a malingerer or whatever else they might say. Which again is stupid, because I'm only really answerable to myself, and the only reason anyone would know is because I'm open about what goes on. So yeah, next week then I have an appointment with a financial advice group for people like me called Together, and we'll see what they say about my situation and whether I can get any assistance. I've tried looking into it myself, but it's such a labyrinthine nightmare. And the government's had this huge crackdown over the past few years, and I have an invisible illness, and I'm clearly capable of working, just to a limited extent. So there's no telling. I'm just kind of sick of being a burden. I want to pull my weight. As to Mind, they're nice people, as all of these kinds of people are. But they were kind of pushy in a not pushy way. They want to help, but they want to help in a, like, they really want to help, like a dog watching you do something. I want to help, but I don't have any thumbs. Shit, what can I do? I know, I'll run in circles and bark. It's kind of like that. They've got all these group therapy things, which I'm not good with people. Yeah, and so, well, we don't want to pressure you into anything, but here's all this stuff that we do. I'm worried that they're going to be a bit pushy about wanting me to become part of something, when all I really want to do is to get this financial advice and then see what else they have, and then pick and choose as I want, whether I want to be involved or not at this stage. And yet, just to get this far, an interview midway through this month, so 2-3 weeks ago, reference from a doctor, all that just to get this far, and 2 interviews with them. Yeah, mental health provision needs to be a lot better, a lot easier. Access to charities needs to be a lot better, a lot easier, and a lot of the stuff that they're offering and say that they do, in my opinion, should be offered by the government. It's just cheaper that way, cheaper, more available, and more accountable. I don't know. I'm still wrestling with this whole ashamed feeling and uselessness feeling, and feeling that it's pathetic to feel like I do about jobs or work or whatever else, that just the thought of sitting in an office and being responsible for anyone or anything other than myself fills me with this sense of existential dread at the moment, to the point where I don't think it's something I could cope with. Something to talk about with my doctor next time, I guess. I don't know. I'm tired of all of this, and I'm having a really hard time accepting that this is after 4 or 5 years, the new normal. This is it for me. How do I find a way of living and working and being that incorporates and adapts around what is wrong It's not as simple as getting a wheelchair and adding ramps to your home or whatever. It's not. It doesn't work like that. In some ways, I would rather be physically ill because things seem much simpler that way. You know, you've got something visible. People can see that you're fucked up in some way, that you need extra help. You don't have to constantly justify yourself. The accusations won't be there in the same way. The implications and the assumptions won't be there in the same way. So I would almost rather be physically disabled, which is a horrible thing to think. To be envious, even, of people in that situation. I've rambled on far more than I meant to. I just meant to give you a quick update, but clearly I needed to splurge. Zang.